Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, we're back in the building. 94 Feet Podcast. What it do?
What's good people?
I'm here with my brothers, Kesey. I'm here with my brother Dre. How y'all been doing?
What up? Welcome back, everybody. Excited to be with my brothers again.
Man, how y'all been enjoying this off season? I guess you can say
it's only been about a month, so
I still off season.
It's been smooth, man. I enjoyed the signings and the free agencies and the new look team, so it's been good.
Okay, all right, I have too. Let's get right into it. We're gonna first talk about the injury report. Dre,
yeah. So the NBA has been injured, obviously. It has not even been a start of a season, and we have a lot of injuries. So right now we got Zion Williamson out with a foot fracture, expected to be out until October 29th. We have Jamal Murray, ACL. He is out into early part of 2022. March is what they're assuming. Klay Thompson is expected to return on Christmas. That's a stretch. Talen Horton-Tucker, torn ligament in the right thumb, expected to be out until November the 8th. Kawhi Leonard out again, ACL until March the 1st. Victor Oladipo tore his quads. He's expected to be back on the 2nd of November. And we have Pascal Siakam, shoulder, expected to be out until November 1st. And Markelle Fultz, that's probably butchered, but that's okay. ACL expected to be back December 1st.
Now, the
quite
reason that is quite a list. Some of these guys got injured last year. They're recuperating in 2022. Like Kawhi Leonard still recovering from the ACL. Klay Thompson from the Achilles. Jamal Murray from the ACL. And then you got, Victor Oladipo. He was hurt last year, and he'll be expected to be back November 2nd. So it's same thing with Markelle Fultz with the ACL. My question for you guys, real quick, what's injury out of these guys I named is probably the most significant, if any?
I'm probably going to say Kawhi.
Okay.
Just because if you look at how the playoffs ended for them, with Kawhi, they would have went further. Mm-hmm. I believe.
I believe that too. Even with, I'm gonna ask you this question because you said him. What do you think, as far even with PG-13, you still believe that it's probably the most significant injury on this list? What about Jamal Murray?
I mean, you got to look at how Denver played. And I mean, they came into this season expecting that, that he was going to be out the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi kind of lingered on throughout the playoffs, like he might come back. Or at least that's what they gave us hope that he was.
Yeah.
Even though he really was injured.
Yeah.
So just looking at how the Clippers responded without him, they need him in order to be successful. But we shall see, though. It's a whole 82-game season this year.
We haven't even got started yet. What about you, Dre? What do you think the most significant injury on this list?
So the reason I can't say Jamal Murray is because Denver has the MVP. They have the MVP, and he's probably going to be a front runner for the MVP again. Joker is a baller. So Denver didn't really need Murray to go deep in the playoffs, but they need him to win it. So I'm not going to say, because he still has time to come back. So when looking at this list, I am probably going to go with Zion because New Orleans sucks anyway. And to take out the star of the team, the center of the team, what is the point for playing? So it's almost like, are they going to play for the lottery again? Are they going to play for the playoffs again? Or are we playing to see Zion traded? So,
he's only going to be out 2 weeks.
He's only going to be out 2 weeks, but I think if history has shown us anything, foot fractures are usually more severe than people think they are. Mm-hmm. And, Zion has a lot of weight on him. He's explosive in his play. And the fact that these injuries are starting to come out now, I question that October 29th return date. But, if he does come back, we're talking about them missing maybe 4 games.
Yeah, okay.
But when you're in a competitive West, every game matters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Zion simply because New Orleans sucks with him. Imagine what they would be without him.
I'm going Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson has been missed like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And you can tell in the significant drop of the Golden State Warriors how much he is needed on both ends of the court. I think that they'll still probably make the play-in tournament as they did last year as the season goes on. But them missing Klay Thompson will definitely hurt and still have them in that bottom half of the season. So moving forward onto the preseason, did you guys check any preseason games out?
I watched a little bit. I went to one game Friday night. I went to the Dallas game against the Bucks. It's just okay. I mean, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a lifelong sports fan. It's hard to get into preseason, man, because it's like, don't nobody really care. I mean, the stadium was empty. People weren't really cheering. It was like the Bucks sucked again. That's how it felt at a preseason game. But I glanced at a few games. I wanted to see Russie play with the Lakers and see how that dynamic was going to be. I think he had 16 turnovers in one game, I think. So I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't dive too deep into it.
I mean, what about you, Keith? Before I give my answer, what about you? Did you check any preseason action?
I got to watch a few games. I mean, it's me just looking at the preseason games. You can tell they wasn't built to be built off of records. It was built to see how different players fit in. Because you can see players in rotations. I'm like, dude,
who are these people?
Who is dude? Where did he come from? Never heard of the dude before. But what I mean, it's good to see some players you've never seen before, so you know what's coming up next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get to see some of the talent that's coming up in the next rotation.
Okay.
Let me just add something to that too, real quick. The other thing I think that preseason has taught us, I think we just forgot, the Bucks were just playing in the month of July.
Mm-hmm.
They literally only had 2 months off, so it was like jumping right back in.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that teams did not really just throw all their stars out there, because it's a long season. And this year, the NBA is being really tough on that COVID protocol, like the NFL. They're basically saying, if you out and you don't have enough players, that's a loss. You know what I'm saying? That's a forfeit. We're not getting ready to reschedule games. So I like to see that the Bucks especially didn't really run Giannis ragged, didn't run Middleton ragged. So I'm okay with preseasons from that perspective.
Hey, the game I went to, though, they all played a lot.
Did they?
I ain't gonna, but the Bucks were beating them by 70 in the first half.
Oh, my God.
So the reason I brought up preseason is because I just want to run a couple numbers by you. We got the Lakers 0-6. We got the Bucks at 1-3. We got the Clippers at 1-3. We got the 76ers at 2-2. We got the Atlanta Hawks at 2-2. Got the Brooklyn Nets at 3-1. We got the Chicago Bulls at 3-0, and we got Miami at 5-1. Now, I brought up two of these teams, like the Bucks and the Heat, because they were probably the teams that made the most significant adjustments as far as free agency goes, picking up free agency and shaking up their rosters. So with you got from Dre just said it wasn't the crowd wasn't really there, which isn't much, but you get to see, like Kesey said, you get to see what's coming. You get to see what's coming. You get to see the depth of your team and how it's sometimes it might be chemistry issues, even with the Lakers. Like you want to see how this chemistry flows on the court and so on and so forth. I believe the Lakers' big three play one game together.
So didn't he?
And so my question to you, even though the Lakers went 0-6, the Bucks are 1-3, Clippers are 1-3, but you also have the Brooklyn Nets on the other side of the table where are 3-1, Bulls 3-0, Heat 5-1. Does the preseason matter? And should teams be worried about their preseason record?
Absolutely not. The Bucks, I think, went 0-3 in last year's preseason and won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So the Phoenix Suns didn't have a great preseason last year and went to the finals. So I don't really think – I think the preseason matters for teams that are trying to just stay in the game. So you think about teams like the 76ers, who played the Ben Simmons lottery all summer. or you think about teams like Golden State to see Steph Curry scored 40 points in a preseason game this season. That is way too many to be driving your star that hard going into the preseason. So for me, preseason doesn't matter, but it does, like bro said, help with chemistry. It also gives you a chance to define your bench. I was reading coming into the Bucks waive 2 players already to trim the roster down to 16. So I think preseason matters from that standpoint. But because there's an 82-game season, I have no concerns about the preseason, especially for my Milwaukee Bucks. I have no concerns about it.
Kesey?
I'm kind of like the records really don't even matter. I mean, they do matter, but they don't at the same time. Because I mean, like you said, no team had the same starting lineup all preseason. So you know what I mean? You're gonna have some losses, and I mean, especially if you got a team like the Lakers where none of them really even played together.
I mean, that was my point of bringing it up, because you have these teams like the Lakers, you have these teams like the Heat, and you got two sides of the coin. You got the Lakers who went 0-6, even though the big three only played the one time together. But like you said, I don't know if I made such a big move. I guess I would make more emphasis to kind of play these guys. They're a little older, so LeBron James playing 1-2 preseason games is, probably normal. But I was just thinking, like, what kind of concern would it be for you if your team went like 0-6 like the Lakers did in the preseason? And then you have the other side of the coin where Miami Heat made a roster move by picking up Kyle Lowry, and they went 5-1. So I look at preseason as a depth. It's a depth thing, because you want your bench to kind of play. You want your bench to get together. But on the other hand, you don't want your guys to get hurt. You don't want to get tired.
And I think that's what it all boiled down to. You want your players to get those reps in, that conditioning in of playing game mode, but at the same time, you don't want injuries, and you don't want to burn your superstars out before you even get to the regular season. You know what I mean?
I enjoyed watching the Miami Heat. They were having fun out there. I like the chemistry, so I'll give you that. Preseason is important for chemistry because the Miami Heat clearly has it. What's the boy name from Milwaukee? Tyler Hero, putting on shows right now.
So would you be shocked if their season turned out the complete opposite?
I wouldn't be shocked, because I remember in season 1 of our podcast, there were moments where we all were hard on the Bucks, where we had them not even going as far in the playoffs. In fact, there was a discussion that we had that they just needed to win a game in the finals because we thought it was over. So the beauty in an 82-game season is anything can happen. And we see how injuries impact the game. LeBron went out, what was it, last year? Or he went out last season, and the Lakers just went from top to bottom.
Top to tank.
Top to tank. There you go. Top to tank. And I don't really think that matters, but I do think from a chemistry perspective, LeBron. I think from a chemistry perspective, that's when you can really talk about the preseason. But I do like the Heat. I like the Heat in the Eastern Conference. They had a great preseason. But again,
why do you like the Heat?
Because it's exciting. I'm riding with my Bucks. It's new. I didn't really think Lowry had a spot in the Eastern Conference. I really didn't. But to see him and Jimmy out there, and Duncan Robinson and some of the others, it looks like they found their core group of talent that will cause them to have a nice run this season. But again, this is preseason we're judging. We've seen preseason games teams be great in preseason and be lottery teams at the end of the season. So
okay,
I was hoping you was gonna say that, but I hope the best for Miami. But I mean,
it means. Are you saying it means nothing?
It means nothing to me to regular season, because you got to think. The pressure gets on once that October 29th come. That's when the real deal Holyfield come out.
October 19th. Let's go. Opening day.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I mean, some people feel differently, but I just wanted to get you guys' opinion. Amongst free agency, amongst the other things going on this offseason, one of the things that happened that got closer to the season was ESPN's top 100. And this brought a lot of controversy just because the King was the number one and he got dethroned. So just to go over the top 10 real quick, we got Kevin Durant
at one. Go ahead.
At number 2, we got Giannis Antetokounmpo. At number 3, we got LeBron James. At number 4, we got Luka Doncic. Number 5, we got Stephen Curry. Number 6, we got Nikola. What's that, Joker?
Just call him Joker.
Let's just call him Joker. We got number 7 at Joel Embiid. We got number 8 at Damian Lillard. We got number 9, Anthony Davis. We got number 10, James Harden. So out of this 10, who are you taking off this list and replacing it with another? Or are you satisfied? Hold on a second, because I know where Kesey gonna go. I kind of know where you gonna go.
You don't even know.
I don't even think you know where I'm gonna go.
So I want to start off with you.
I'm just asking for permission to rephrase the question, because you said who's missing from the list.
No, I said who's missing from this top 10.
I don't think anyone's necessarily missing, but I do have a problem with the order of the list.
Okay.
Can we talk about the order of the list? I'm okay with the top 10.
Okay, you're right. We should talk about the order of the list.
Let's talk about the order of the list. All right. So, first of all, how is Joker the MVP and he's number 6? Let's start there. Hold up. I'm getting to it.
Go ahead.
On no list should Luka ever be ahead of Steph Curry or James Harden. On no list should Luke, although James Harden, we're going to see the real James Harden with that new rule where he can't catch that foul now with that step back. Congratulations, NBA, for getting one right. But in my opinion, I have no problem with Kevin Durant being on this list. If we're looking at last season,
at number 1,
if we're looking at last season, LeBron was not the number 1 guy last season. And we're talking stats. We're talking gameplay. We're talking overall everything, okay? We're talking everything. LeBron is the GOAT. After Michael Jordan, LeBron's my GOAT. But LeBron being number 3, I am okay with that based on last season. What I'm not okay with is Giannis is the champion. Giannis is the MVP. KD balled out. Giannis being 2 is okay, but if you're asking me here, Luka should never be ahead of Steph Curry on any list. James Harden should be a lot higher, and Anthony Davis should be 10 based on the list that you gave me here. On no list, that's what I'm talking about. Talking to the IG fans right here that's agreeing with me.
The people that's
no list. Go ahead, bro.
I don't have a problem with the list, like you said. It's the order, and like you said, if Joker was the MVP, he should be number 1. You would think, right?
If you're basing it off last season, yes.
If you're basing it off last season, Giannis or Joker should be number 1, or they should be 1, 2. And I agree, LeBron is not number 1 right now. He didn't have a great season last year, so you gotta knock him a few spots. But that's only a year's ranking. We're not talking about all-time rankings. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But we'll keep it at that. We'll keep that at that.
He had to get that in, didn't he?
He did.
But one of my biggest problems with the list was I don't think Anthony Davis is valued higher than James Harden.
110% agree.
I'm kind of shocked that they would even put him before James Harden.
Well, remember, Harden had a very, let's not say rough season, but Harden had not a great season.
He had a rocky start to his season, which equaled
out
to him being injured and probably being injured during the course of the playoffs.
But I'm also agreeing with Dre too, and I hate to, but there's no way on God's green heaven that Luka should be ahead of Steph Curry
on no list ever. In fact, let me say this. I'm sorry, Zeke, and Should Luka be in front of Steph? No. Should he be in front of Joker? No. Should he be in front of Embiid? No. Should he be in front of Dame? No. Should he be in front of Davis? Yes. Should he be in front of Harden? No.
No, because I don't think he should be in front of none of them. I think he has a little more work to put in to, be more consistent career to take that spot. Because, I mean, it ain't like they had a bad season. And especially you talking about like Steph and Dame.
Luka should be, I'm sorry, Zeke. Luka should be 9 or 10. But I told y'all last season that the NBA wants Luka as its face and its MVP. Watch Luka be in MVP conversations all year.
I'm sitting here quietly. I'm not saying steaming, but I'm not even gonna say irritated because little how we forget. Because Kevin Durant, number one, no question about it. To me, he's probably the best skill player in the world.
Now,
but let's talk about this Luka thing because y'all both said Luka shouldn't be above Steph.
He shouldn't.
Luka's very skilled. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted.
Okay, hold on. Let me talk now. I'm gonna just say this: 1 through 5 on this list were considered MVP at one point in the time during the season last year. Luka included.
Agreed.
Luka team got to the playoffs, not the play-in tournament, the playoffs. Steph was in the play-in tournament. Steph couldn't take his team to the playoffs. Now, as far as we're talking about this, we're really talking about last year because that's how Kevin Durant got to number 1. We're not talking about all time. We're talking about last year. A part of last year, Steph Curry was hurt for a little while, like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. So if you want to talk about like where Luka stands, he is on his verge. He's on the verge to probably front runner of MVP at the beginning of this year, just like he was last year. So you talking about where he should be on this list? To me personally, Anthony Davis should not be top 10. James Harden, because of his season last year, should be right where he's at. Damian Lillard maybe should be a little bit higher. Joker, even though he got MVP, we're talking about what put people above him is skill-wise.
Over who?
He's a walking triple-double.
He's a walking triple-double, but I'm talking about skill-wise. Skill-wise, he's not up to par with Steph Curry. Skill-wise, he's not up to par with Luka. To me. And a lot of people agree. And like last year, I was saying, man, Luka, he was like the number 1 guy for 25 and under. And I think when you look at this list as far as the top 10 guys, who can you just literally put on a team and take them to the promised land or close to it? I think all 4, the top 4, or I'll say top 5, even Steph Curry. But you see where Steph Curry ended his season at. You see where Luka ended his season at.
Hold on 1 second.
But go ahead.
Further. I see 2 people on that list that can do that.
Do
2.
what?
They can go to any team and they already considered championship contenders. There's 2 players.
Who?
Kevin Durant and LeBron James.
Okay.
So don't get that twisted. Don't ever in your life get that twisted.
I didn't say he was better. I didn't say Luka was better than LeBron James.
But I'm just saying, you trying to put him up there with KD and LeBron. That's not even close to even say he can go on any team and make because clearly he ain't making them championship caliber with the team he got in Dallas.
And he won't.
Okay, let me ask this question.
And he won't.
Okay, here's my question for you.
But you put LeBron on that team or you put KD on that team, what do you think that team looks like?
NBA Finals.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask both of y'all this question. Kevin Durant had who?
James Harden.
And who else?
Don't say Kyrie because he barely played.
He barely played, but he played.
Barely. He didn't play none of the playoffs.
I'm not saying he's on the roster, though. He's on the roster. Yes or no?
Yeah, maybe.
He was. We're talking about last year. Last year, he was on the roster.
He was on the roster.
LeBron James. Now, LeBron James, all-time great. One of the all-time greats. I'm not going to take that away from him. And he has done it. He has historically taken teams to the NBA Finals by himself. But we're talking about last year. Who did he have? Anthony Davis and some other pieces.
Who?
Luka.
Who
does he have as other pieces?
Who was his other pieces? Because I think you're forgetting.
Hold on a second. We're talking about. We're not talking about how the season ended and why these guys got traded. We're talking about at the beginning of the season. He had pieces as far as he had the reigning 6th man of the year last year. He had KCP, who's a 3-and-D guy. He had Kyle Kuzma, who was supposed to be a young up-and-coming star, and he had Anthony Davis. Those are 4 guys I just named. Now, here's my thing for y'all. Here's my question for y'all. We talking about Luka. Is that not what happened?
That's not what happened.
What you mean it's not what happened? Was Harold not the reigning 6 Man of the year last year?
Oh, okay. But what happened to the Lakers when LeBron went out?
They sucked.
We're
talking about at the beginning of the season last year, the Lakers were bound to repeat.
They were.
And because they brought everybody back pretty much. Yes or no?
They did.
Who does Luka have?
Porzingis.
Occasionally.
Rarely. Not even like occasionally. Rarely.
He balled in the same boat as Anthony Davis right now. Because they both stay the same injured.
Yeah,
all the time.
Porzingis ain't even top 20. Let's just put that out there.
No, he is not.
Kuz and Tim Hardaway Jr. is in the same boat.
Okay, hold on a second.
Who else you want to say the Lakers had?
They had 4 people. Name me 4 people that Luka had that are reliable scorers.
Brunson.
Who? Keezy. Who?
He's the backup point guard.
The backup point guard.
Didn't have Trey Burke.
I'll give you that. Who?
Trey Burke. I'm saying he was on the team. He was putting up numbers. Right. They also.
I'm talking about somebody who was
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. and who else? Porzingis. I'll give you Porzingis, but Porzingis was always hurt and he barely played.
That you're right.
Why y'all both on y'all laptops? I want y'all to look up how much these guys average.
You don't have to. I think so. Here's the thing.
Hold on, real quick. Just to bring home my point.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, James Harden, top 10. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, top 10. Who's Luka teammate that's in the top 10?
None.
Exactly. So we're he is taking these guys, and then on top of that, he literally has the LA Clippers number by himself. He got their number.
I'll give you that. But here's why it's not fair for you to go there, because you acting like Steph did. Steph was a one-man show last year. A one-man show, and almost took his one-man show team to the NBA playoffs. Took his one-man show.
Almost only counting horseshoes.
Well, Luka almost won MVP. He was almost number 1 on this list. Luka, I believe the NBA, he's like the second coming of Dirk. They're going to invest money into Dallas. If you look at the Christmas Day, didn't the Mavs get a Christmas Day game this year? Or did they get a Christmas Day game? No,
I don't know.
They have a lot of TV games this year.
Mm-hmm.
Luka is fun to watch. Yeah, the Mavericks are a marquee team again because of that.
Yeah.
Right? But to put him on a list above all of these players, in which the only one he should have been above really is Anthony Davis, in my opinion. But I like Luka, and I enjoy watching Luka. But I don't think he's above any of these players other than AD. That's just me.
I mean,
I don't think he's even better than AD because
he's not better.
I'm saying he hasn't put in enough time to be put there yet. You know what I mean? 2 years is not a lot. I mean, he's done some good things in them 2 years, but
it's 3 years.
Is it 3?
It's 3. He signed. It might even be. I think this is the start of his 4th year because he just signed he signed a max extension. So
it's the start of his 3rd year, right?
Third year. It's got to be his 3rd year. If he signed the extension, it's got to be his 3rd year. But I just wanted to. It was a list that was brought up every year, and then next year we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, start of his 3rd year. Yeah.
So we'll talk about it again.
4th year. I'm sorry. 4th year. He was drafted in 18. Sorry about that.
So this is one of those things. Well, this will be okay. This will be his 4th year this
year.
This
would be starting his 4th season.
Yeah. So here he had 3 years. But I just wanted to bring that up because it was while we were in the off season, it was a topic of discussion.
Let me ask you a quick question about Luka. If you could have, from what you see now, would you pick Luka over Trae Young?
Yeah.
Keith, would you pick Luka over Trae Young?
Oh man, that's tough because Trae Young been putting in work. And
is he not a top 10 player?
No.
Okay.
And if he doesn't get injured,
who?
Trae?
What you mean in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he gives the Bucks a little bit more run for their money.
I mean, that's fair to say, and I think Trae Young is a really good player. I think he's going to be something special in his league. But to me, this list is composed of where you started off and how you ended your season.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And Trae, even though Trae Young got further and took the Atlanta Hawks further in the season than anybody expected them to, I still look at Luka, and I kind of agree with Dre when you talk about like the NBA is kind of like making him the poster child for the future. But I think he's putting in the work. I think that he is exceeding everyone's expectations. And for even this past summer in the Olympics, when he single-handedly again almost took his team to, I think, at least a silver or a bronze medal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Luke is literally a one-man show where he can shoot, he can do the pull-up, he has a great handle, he's a great passer, he's a great rebounder. We want to talk about all these guys who are compared to LeBron James. He's one of those guys. And when we did an episode last season, we'll probably do another one where they talked about the top 25 under 25. He was number one for me. And he was number one for a reason, as far as him making his team be where they are because like Luka just needs a second superstar. I mean, the days of you doing it by yourself are pretty much over.
Long gone. So
you need at least a second superstar to get to that Eastern Conference. And I mean, that Western Conference Finals, and the Western Conference is stacked.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to be in that top 6 seed consecutive for like the last 2 years and to have one team number by itself, which is the Clippers, is something to be looked at and something to be considered.
Absolutely. No, I don't disagree. But again, I'm excited to see the MVP race this season because there's some stars.
It is some
NBA
stars.
got some stars.
It'll be very interesting. It will be very interesting to see. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty. First, I want to talk about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is one hell of a guy.
Oh,
and to be honest with you, I remember on this podcast specifically saying Ben Simmons is probably the closest we're going to get to LeBron James, mostly because his size, but he can play defense. He can drive to the hole. He can pass the ball. Like, he can do all these things except for shooting. And every year we get hyped up because we see him in these gym videos, shooting the jumper, shooting the three, and he hitting it. But he is, to me right now, it's a confidence thing, and he is scared out of his bejeezies to shoot that shot and miss it and then have the whole world on his shoulder. Now, at the end of last year's playoffs, it didn't pan out because he was so scared to shoot the ball for it to be all on his shoulders. He ended up passing up a layup to pass the ball to somebody who then missed the layup because they was covered, and it just went all downhill from there. And then he decided to hold out.
My bad.
He decided to hold out, and
that
he was pretty much saying, I'm not finna play for the 76ers ever again. And he was stuck to it. And as time went by, 76ers were asking for an arm, a leg, both your legs, both your arms, and your mama insurance policy just for him to sign or just for a trade.
They wanted a lot.
Wanted a lot. So he held out, and he hasn't played. He hasn't reported for training camp. He hasn't reported for any preseason games. But finally, after he accumulating $1 million in fines, he was like, hey, you guys are trying to miss some of my money. I'm not that rich yet. So he decided to report for camp. And he got his COVID-19 test, and he is good to go. My question for you is this. Well, a couple questions. 76ers, should they trade him? Should they lower their expectations for the trade as far as lowering like what they want? Like, do you get rid of this guy, or do you like stick to your guns?
They will indeed get rid of Ben Simmons. If I was a betting man, He said the sound's messing up. Well, this is just my own IG. Listen to it. Listen to us tomorrow. It drop on all platforms, y'all. Ben Simmons is a problem, a lot like Kyrie Irving. Ben Simmons didn't realize he wanted to be with Phoenix, and I'm sorry, Philly, and I'm air quoting, until he realized that he was losing money. Mm-hmm. He will be out of Philly by All-Star break, if not before. I told you last season, they should have took the deal from Indiana. That was the best deal they had when they offered Brogdon, some other player, and a couple draft picks for Ben Simmons. Every single trade I've seen Philly offer someone has been so lopsided. It has been so lopsided. Give us 9 players and we'll give you Ben Simmons. You know what I'm saying? Or give us 4 players and cash considerations and we'll give you a guy that can't shoot. Ben Simmons, I don't think not only has he alienated the entire organization, he's alienated the fans, and Ben Simmons better not suit up in a 76ers jersey. I have a fantasy draft tonight, and I can guarantee you that there's 2 players I won't touch. Ben Simmons being one and Kyrie Irving being the other. Ben Simmons is a problem, and I think he hurt his chances at getting traded to a team that is competitive.
I hate to be the guy who goes against the grain.
Do you really? Do you really?
It doesn't.
But, I think it gave Philly a chance to see, like, we didn't invested all of this, and we're not going to get a return back on the trade market. So why trade him and lose when we can keep him and gain? Because at the end of the day, he's
gain what though?
He's still a baller.
Okay, man. Okay, just
because he's still a two-way player. He still can be offensively talented. He's just not a prolific shooter.
Okay, let me ask you this question then.
I like that. Offensively talented. Yeah. Okay.
That's one of those rare moments on this podcast when we show each other love and we don't know what to do with it. You just show me some love.
I'm looking on the wall to see there's a fly on the
wall. It's interesting you say that, Kesey, because are the 76ers setting them up for a Houston Rocket James Harden situation? Because James Harden reported to Kent. James Harden didn't lose no money. He was just lackluster in his play. As long as I'm out there, it is what it is. But don't think for 1 minute that I just won't go through the motions.
But that wouldn't do nothing but hurt him, though, because he's not a prolific shooter.
Yeah. He's already lost $8.2 million.
Just $1 million.
No. 76ers won't pay $8.2 million owed to Ben Simmons.
Okay, but what I'm saying is this, Kesey, because I hear what you're saying, but did it hurt James Harden? Did it hurt James Harden trade? I mean, his trade value when he was going in there, going through the motions.
You cannot hurt a player of James Harden's caliber on the trade value. You cannot, because at the end of the day, he is that dude offensively.
Plus, the difference with Harden and Simmons is everybody knew where he was going. There was
they was hoping, and he requested it.
There was like a sweepstakes for freaking Ben Simmons. I heard a sports commentator say Philly has offered Ben Simmons nearly to every team. Nearly every team. And every team's like, no, you want too much.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this is that, Ben Simmons overplayed his hand. I think he watched the James Harden situation like, oh, they're going to trade me. And then he also was like, I can take on this bill of not playing and getting fined. I can take on this bill and, they're going to trade me. And to me, it was one of those things where you think you can beat the system, which is the team. The team is the system, and you overplay your hand. Like we see players overplay their hand, not often, but every once in a while, it's a big skeptical. But when a guy overplays his hand.
Players like to overplay their hand. Dennis Schroeder.
I was going to say that. Dennis Schroeder. Overplaying your hand. And, with the NBA, with this throwing money, to be honest with you, I think This was worse. This was worse
I
than
think the
Dennis
NBA,
Schroeder.
I think the NBA threw money at everybody but him.
Here's why it's not.
I ain't gonna lie. Every time somebody bring that up, I'll be like,
bro, we posted on our Facebook page. Since y'all brought up Schroeder, we posted if what did we say if made a mistake was a person, and we posted a meme. But here's why it's different. Ben Simmons is owed a lot of money.
He is,
and that's why teams are like, wait, you want us to give this non-shooter this season $33 million, the next season $35 million, the next season $37 million.
Like he literally just signed that contract.
The last year of his contract, he's owed $40 million.
Okay, let me ask you this question because we're
who owed $40 million?
Ben Simmons.
He sounded like a spot.
Was it that big?
Man, it increases $2 million every year.
So what do you think that $8 million means to him?
Well, I mean,
it means a lot.
Not really.
No,
if you take
the lifestyle,
because
you live in your lifestyle, and you got an agent, you dating all these famous bitches, and you doing all this. Sorry, you doing all this extra. You doing all this extra stuff.
Whoa.
I thought we had an agreement,
Whoa. You doing all this extra stuff, and that's what I'm saying. Like for him to chuck up the $8 million and lose 8.2, you like, oh, man, so they really gonna take my money like this?
But
he went to the Players Association to see what can they do about it. It was like, man, you signed a contract, you're not showing up.
They said Doc went off on him, man.
Like, yeah, Doc went off on him. Like the team tried to literally go out to LA to meet him and talk him to coming back before training camp started, before preseason started. He was like, "No, I'm not even gonna meet with y'all." He was, you know what else? He was proving everybody right of the criticism he got at the end of the season when he was like, "Hey, you're acting like Ben Simmons is a baby. He have a bunch of yes men around him, and no one, and he never gets scolded for the stuff he does." And for him to not be a shooter, he just has to work at it, but he never does. And he proved every criticism right, which is crazy to me. And I think, like Dre said, his trade value is like literally coming down as the season goes by. But going back to Kesey's point, him not showing up or him going through the motions is just gonna hurt his trade value. Like you're never gonna get out of Philly if you sit here going through the motions and you're not getting all-star games.
Because everybody gonna think he the same Ben Simmons
that
can't shoot. So if you don't come in this season and put on a show, he might be career might be cooked. He could be on the verge of that, like a career breakdown.
I think Ben Simmons thought he had that LeBron swag because he has, Rich Paul. I think he's represented by Rich Paul as well. And Rich Paul couldn't deliver to get him out of there. I think some promises were made to Ben. Mm-hmm. And I think once Philly start throwing all this around, like Philly wants to compete for a championship. And Philly is a player or half a player away from competing for a title. So that's why Philly tried to get everything but the kitchen sink. But to Bro's point, Ben Simmons is still a prolific point guard. He is probably one of the top 5 point guards in the NBA, easily, I might add.
Point forward.
Thank you. However, you had a chance to get Malcolm Brogdon, who is a good point guard. Is he a top point guard? Probably not. But for him to be able to play with Philly, to throw lobs to Embiid, or to throw lobs or make a way for Tobias Harris, it was a great opportunity for both of those players to build something new.
Hey, man.
Ben Simmons blew it.
Hey, man.
What?
You lucky, my friend, because I might have gave you a left hook.
Why?
Because there's no way on God's green earth. Malcolm Brogdon.
It wasn't just him, though. They offered him several other players and draft picks. So you're telling me.
So who else do Indiana got that you want?
But you're telling me.
Can't think of his name.
When you do that right there, that automatically is an indicator that there's nobody.
Well, he did
else
that with Dallas too. So that
exactly, there's nobody else.
They all did that with Dallas. To me personally, I thought the only person
it was Malcolm. I'm sorry. It was Malcolm Brogdon, T.J. Warren, and draft consideration. What else do you want for a player that can't shoot? You talk about. Hold up.
TJ who?
Hold up.
I'm going back to
you talk about Brogdon not being elite, and I'll give you that. But he can shoot. He can shoot.
To me personally, I think that trade was average at best. I would need a third. You had to throw a third person in there.
Most definitely.
And to me also, for Philadelphia to be like, well, we need an all-star caliber player to go with this all-star caliber player that we're giving away. The only person who is in a situation, it's two people who are in a similar situation that should have accepted that trade.
Who?
Bradley Beal, who should be getting out of Washington, but he decided to stay. He's going to sign an extension. Word on the street is, and Damian Lillard, who also decided to stay in Portland. But after this fiasco that Ben Simmons has been going on for like the last month and a half, or since the season ended, I don't want that kind of attitude on my team.
Oh yeah.
Because if he comes here, he doesn't want to play here. He's going to have the same attitude, and I don't want to deal with that for the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think it was you that said like he's literally bringing down his draft. And I'm sorry, his trade value. Like he's literally bringing it down himself. Now I will say this: because during the season Ben Simmons averaged like 15, 5-5, I believe, or like 6-7 or something like that. But if Ben Simmons, the best thing for, because it's still a way for him to turn around. The first 2 weeks in the season, I won't say the first 2 weeks, the first 3-4 games, especially home games, he's gonna get booed. He's gonna get booed really hard.
You think so?
Oh yeah, he's definitely getting booed really hard
By the Philly fans.
Philly fans are the worst.
They are horrible.
They worse than the Knicks fans, man.
So when he's gonna get booed, you push through the boo, and you give Philadelphia everything you got, and by Christmas he'll be gone.
I think part of the problem was not just him. I think it was the scrutiny that the organization gave behind it too, of him not being a shooter and what he didn't do and what they think he should do. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it like this. You know what type of player he is. You know the type of player he been. Mm-hmm. Why do y'all expect these players to change it to something that they're not? That's not him. Because it's not his role.
Because he shows video that he's capable of being this guy.
It's a different game when you're playing pickup basketball
That's
and
true.
when you're playing in a real live NBA game.
There's no pressure shooting in the gym by yourself.
None.
I mean, even I agree with both those statements. And it is a different type of pressure to have, when you shoot in the gym or with your friends or whatever. You missed a game point. We just move on. Damn, we lost the game. And I shouldn't have shot that as such and such. You don't even say that. You just say good game, everybody, and keep it moving. Here, you got to hear like 2-3 days, maybe sometimes a week of just straight criticism of why you didn't shoot. What's wrong with this guy? Yeah. Will he be able to ever shoot? Can Philly even win with this guy? Legends like Shaq and Charles Barkley saying, you ain't even that good.
They went in.
But the problem,
I'm not mad at him. Like Shaq said, he said, I have G4 classified. What did he say? He said G4 classified to say what I'm saying. Like, you from LSU. I went to LSU. Man up. Go ahead, Keezy.
I think that's the problem, though. Players are put under so much scrutiny now for something that they can't do. When it's been like that since the NBA started, players that can't do certain things. Kareem was never able to shoot a jump shot,
but he
sure had a jump hook out this world.
I'm gonna counter that. I'm gonna counter that argument with Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball was never really a shooter. His jump shot was ugly, but guess what happened? You work hard at it. He trained, and now his jump. It's not butter. He's not shooting 40% from the field, but he changed his shot, and he's a better shooter for it.
Hey, y'all see Giannis shooting a little bit now too.
Giannis shooting a little jump shot too.
Giannis shooting a little bit.
So, like, if you work on your craft, you can be that guy. But if you don't want to work on it,
how do you know he's not working on it? Ben Simmons.
That's the work. That's the work coming out of the 76ers.
But Ben Simmons does his craft. Everybody know his craft is to be a point forward. That's his craft.
That is his craft. When do you say, you know what, I need to add something to my game? LeBron James, when he first came into the league, he was not a shooter.
I think Ben Simmons would have been fine if he didn't pass that layup. This only got thrown out of proportion because he passed up on a wide open layup. That's the only reason this is.
That's
the only reason this is blown. If the dude would have took the layup, it just would have been the same. Ben can't shoot. He got to develop a job. But now it turned into something more because he passed up on a guaranteed bucket in the freaking playoffs.
If the dude would have made the layup, we
wouldn't even be talking about this.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
We wouldn't be talking about
You know
this.
what?
So who was the
Probably.
person that missed the layup?
I don't remember who missed it, but Ben was wide open and he should have took it.
It might have been Danny Green.
If I'm Ben, I'm asking whoever that is, I need my $8.2 million back. Whoever missed that layup, I want my 8.2.
And I'm gonna look at you like you crazy because why you didn't shoot the layup? Well, I thought you was gonna make it. What?
Right.
You're a professional basketball player.
Exactly.
You make $140 million a year. You pass me the ball, I make 25.
Exactly.
Way less than him.
And
So.
I make a measly, I ain't gonna say on the air, but and I could have made the layup.
I'm thinking we all at this table could have made that layup, except for Andre. That's not the point, though. The point is, the point is,
Go ahead, keep talking.
the point is that it's one of those things where you don't pass. If he would have made that layup, or he would have missed the layup, we'd have just let it ride. We'd have let it ride. Ben Simmons missed the layup. He needed to work on his jumper, and that's it. This is very disappointing of the 76ers, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is, and he'll cry baby, and he's let us know he's a crybaby, and so on and so forth. Now, Kesey boy Kyrie Irving is not in a bit of a hot water.
Kesey boy?
My fault. Dre boy. My fault, Kesey. It's Dre boy. That's Dre. That's been Dre dude for a while.
Listen.
Kyrie Irving is Dre guy.
I am a Kyrie fan. Best handles in basketball. But his actions right now, I'll let Zeke do the intro and we'll talk his actions.
So, Kyrie Irving has decided not to get vaccinated. He made that perfectly clear. And of course, and because of this, certain things have happened. First NBA came out and said, hey, we're following by every city's mandate. Like whatever your city mandate is, that's what we're following. Only two have a heavy-handed mandate, Los Angeles and New York. And if you are not vaccinated, you cannot participate in big indoor events, which is basketball. And same thing with football. So Kyrie said, I'm not getting vaccinated. This is what's best for me and my family. Brooklyn said, all right, cool, Kyrie, we'll try to work with you. And as time has gone by, this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We just talked about Ben Simmons, him losing $8.2 million, as Dre said. Kyrie is willing to lose $16 million this year. And because of this, Kyrie will now be offered an extension of a 4-year, $196 million. They took that offer off the table.
Good.
And, Kyrie is one of these guys who is always about, the people. He's like, it's not about me. It's about what about these little guys and these people who have to work through COVID and so on and so forth. And through Kyrie Irving, his action, he has been very charitable. He has been very for the cause. I mean, his history is buying George Floyd mom a home. He paid tuition for 9 HBCU students. He bought 200 plus kids Christmas gifts. He provided $250K for Thanksgiving meals in New York City,
which is all irrelevant. But go ahead.
This is irrelevant because this is the kind of person Kyrie is. I think it's relevant to the kind of person he is as far as the COVID-19. We're sitting. Hold on a second though, because I see you boiling over there. But my thing is, we're all this COVID-19. I don't want to get into a big discussion about COVID-19 because this is more about Kyrie than it is about COVID-19. We don't know. We're not 100% for sure about COVID-19. It's still a mystery. We're listening to what everyone is telling us. We're listening to the TV we're watching. We're doing research here and there, but we really don't know what we're looking at. So we can't say everything is for sure. That's number one. Hold on a second. Number two is Kyrie is not the only person who is not vaccinated. 95% of the NBA is. That other 5% is not vaccinated. It's only hurting Brooklyn Nets because they are in New York City. Two other players of his caliber. Bradley Beal's not vaccinated. He's in Washington Wizards, but they don't have a heavy vaccine. I mean, they don't have a heavy mandate. The Denver Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr., who just signed a $200 million extension, he's also not vaccinated.
Hope they don't play nobody in the playoffs that requires it.
They won't. That's what I'm saying. Like they just can't play in those cities. Another person who wasn't vaccinated, but he changed his tune when he seen he was going to lose some money was Andrew Wiggins. So my question for you guys is, besides your thoughts, is we've seen this type of stand in my place and willing to lose my job before.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Kaepernick chose to stand. Now, per se, he chose to kneel and was like, if I got to lose my job, I got to lose my job.
But he was kneeling. He's
kneeling for the he's kneeling for the voice of the voiceless. He was the voice of the voiceless.
Not a good comparison. That's
what Kyrie say he is doing.
Not a good comparison.
Explain why.
Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for police brutality and the treatment of African American men being killed by the police. Kyrie is protesting what he believes to be an overreach of an employer. This is all I'm going to say about it. Hold up. No. This will be quick. Trust and believe this will be quick. This is all I'm going to say. For everyone that still thinks COVID's fake, come holler at me. Had it. Go holler at my mama in the hospital 17 days, still dealing with it. Go holler at my Aunt Thelma in the hospital 2 months, still dealing with it. So let's get over the fact that COVID's not fake. Let's start there. Kyrie Irving has done a number of wonderful charitable things. We are not putting his character on the line. All I'm saying is Kyrie always makes it about him. Last year, he didn't show up because he was taking care of his mental health. Now it's all of a sudden about a vaccine mandate, okay? If it's about the vaccine, if it's not about the vaccine, like he claimed it is, then asked to be traded. He hasn't opened up his mouth and asked to be traded. Kyrie, once again, has made the offseason about himself. He's a distraction. He needs to walk away from basketball if he doesn't want to play. I don't have an opinion on whether people be vaccinated or not. I'm vaccinated. I'm all about mandates. I believe in them. But if you don't want to get it and there's no penalty to you, fine. Cool. Get your nose swabbed twice a day or twice, whatever, and you come to work. But the fact that he didn't just be quiet, I'm not getting it because it's an overreach. No, you're making something about yourself again. They have to practice in Rucker Park just to get you to show up. And so now they banned you from the team. So all I'm saying is you're an employee. Let's not forget that. You're an employee. And your employer can mandate by law to do that. Let's not say, they can't do that. They absolutely can. We've all been to school before.
Nobody ever said they couldn't.
We've all been to school before.
Nobody ever said they couldn't.
I had to get a polio vaccine. When I traveled abroad, I had to get malaria vaccine. I had to take pills, rather. I had to get a hepatitis pill or vaccine. So let's not act like this is brand new. Kyrie made this about himself. No. It's not about the vaccine. He made it about himself. That's all I have to say about
just
Kyrie.
Like Stephen A.
That's okay.
Y'all are making it about the COVID.
That's okay.
Y'all making it about the COVID.
So the safety of his players is not important?
So hold on. Let me say something first.
Go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead.
Everybody's safety is at risk every day we go around each other, right?
Absolutely.
That's true.
So there's no difference between being vaccinated and being vaccinated because at the end of the day, you can still pass it to somebody, right?
Yeah. I mean, a couple of players have already had COVID-19.
Now let's move on from that.
Okay.
This brother is speaking because he's talking about employers forcing someone to do something that they're not believed in.
They're not comfortable doing.
Or comfortable doing. That's what it's about. If I'm not comfortable with doing something, how can you force me to leave my job or lose my livelihood over something that I don't believe in or something I don't trust?
The law. Next.
What?
That's the question. Employers have a right to do these things.
Okay.
This isn't brand new.
No, I know this.
Nobody said it's brand new. But I'm saying, though.
Keith saying, do you?
I know what he's saying.
Okay. Do you think they have the right?
These previous vaccines were studied long periods of time before they made them mandatory in the schools and wherever else, in employers and wherever else they put it. You're talking about something that they put together all of a sudden that the FDA really didn't even want to approve at the beginning.
Not at the beginning.
I mean, how come
So
it can't just be a miracle?
But I'm there's no
be a what?
A miracle. We see. Here's a problem with
my one thing. One thing I live by is God said, "Don't put your faith in man." Right? That is a man-made.
That's his word.
That's a man-made
that's
thing,
his
right?
Word.
So if I believe, I'm just saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. But if that's what I believe in, who are you to tell me that I can't believe that?
God also equips people to do things. God equips scientists. He equips doctors. So every time you get sick, are you just praying? Are you not going to get the antibiotics? Are you not going to get the medicine? So at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. I mean, I'm obviously
okay. And you just said
it's a personal choice, but the employer has said this is what you have to do. So if Kyrie doesn't want to work, then he doesn't get vaccinated and he sits out. That's the bottom line. Kyrie's no different than doctors and teachers right now.
Hold on a second.
No different.
But either way it go, he's in a lose-lose battle, right?
I don't know about lose battle, but let me tell you why
it's a loss. Let me tell you why it's a loss. Because at the end of the day, he is going against what he believed in, right? Yeah. So he's losing something personally. Morally, personally.
See, here's why I disagree with that. Because Kyrie has already said it's not about that I disagree with the vaccine. It's about them making me get the vaccine. So once again, I'm saying Kyrie has made it about him.
Okay, hold on a second, Dre. Hold on a second.
He said it himself. Well, it's not about getting vaccinated.
Hold on a second.
What? Then what it's about?
Okay, hold on a second. My thing is this. Like, because I see where both of you guys are coming from. The interesting thing is you just said to me was, you was like, well, he didn't ask for a trade. And the Nets were going to trade him. They was like, okay, you don't want to get vaccine, that's cool. We'll just get rid of you. But his buddy, Kevin Durant, was like, actually, please don't trade my friend or I'm going to leave too, so on and so forth. They really want a championship there. Because both of you guys have valid points. And I think that when it comes down to Kyrie making it, I don't want to, because Kyrie does have the last couple years made it about him. And he always kind of clouds it up as, kind of sticking up for the little guy. The guy like us, who we all work 9 to 5s here. And if our employer tells us, hey, you need to get this vaccine. If you're not vaccinated, we're going to have to let you go. Because we have families, because we have people we care about and we take care of, we're going to go about our business like, okay, I guess I got to get this vaccine. We don't have that option to be like, well, I'm just going to walk away and live off my endorsement money and so on and so forth.
That's what he's speaking on.
So that's what I'm saying. So I get that point. I also get the point that what Dre is saying, this is bigger than you not getting the vaccine, because not only are your teammates suffering.
How are they suffering?
They're suffering because what,
the season hasn't started?
No, because we are here. We are here for a championship.
And let's not
hold on a second. Let me finish. We are here for a championship, and we are doing this together. So for Kevin Durant to stick his neck out and be like, do not trade Kyrie Irving. Do not trade him. It's something like your buddy is sticking his neck out for you. And so for you to be like, hold on a second. So for you to be like, I'm still not getting the vaccine, it's kind of a slap in the face. This is bigger than you just not feeling comfortable with it. We all aren't comfortable getting this vaccine. When it first came out, we were not comfortable with it, just because Black people in the history of medicine do not have a good history together. We do not go together like peanut butter and jelly. So when this first came out and they are pushing this hard. They are pushing this vaccine hard. And these commercials are full of Black people. But that's a whole nother topic. This is not about that. This is about what Kyrie should be doing to. Is this more about Kyrie? Is this more about your teammates? You have to think bigger picture. I'm sure LeBron James, he said it. He said, I had questions about the COVID vaccine, but I did my own research and so on and so forth. Kyrie has that same kind of money where he can do research. He can have people come to him and bring him stuff. But it's up to him not to believe it or not like that. Like, I get both your points, but I guess it's because at the end of the thing, KD stuck his neck out for him. James Harden kind of sticking up for him. So it's one of those things where, like, Kyrie, you kind of being selfish a little bit.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm not even calling him selfish for not wanting it. I agree. I mean, like, just because I agree with mandates doesn't mean I'd like to see a mandate. But if Kesey said, I don't want to be vaccinated, I respect that. And I get it. It should be his choice. But then you find an employer that doesn't require those things. All I'm saying about Kyrie, if it's not about the vaccine, then why did we just make this whole thing about you?
But my thing about this,
He made this whole thing about him. He's the one that said it's not about being vaccinated. But he said it.
But like you just said, go find a new thing. But I've say you've been working at this career for 20 plus years. And because a mandate went out because of something that you had no control over, how this came about, and they tell you got to put this in your body right now or your job here is over. How would you feel?
That's what I'm saying. I get that. And that's why I was
that's who he's speaking for, because if he don't, who else will?
He right. I mean, you both you guys are right. And I agree with both. This has been another episode of 94 Feet Podcast. And as you can see, we are leaving the season right where we begin it at.
I mean, I think we did. I don't even think it was an argument. I just think it was just very difference of opinions about Kyrie. Not so much just the vaccine, just Kyrie in general, man. Can I ask you this? And I know you're closing, but is Kyrie a problem? Is he a problem?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a problem. Okay. He's definitely a problem. I mean, I'm not going to go over his whole history because, we're wrapping up here.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyrie has been a problem since he left Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
To every team he's gone to.
Mm-hmm.
There is no question about that.
In your eyes, he's a problem.
He's a problem in the eyes of the NBA, man. Are you kidding me? Listen, man. Okay. Check us out. Check us out. Go ahead.
In your eyes, he's a problem.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Welcome to another season. Welcome to another season of 94.
Do the rundown, bro.
All right, good people. Thank you for tuning in to another good episode of 94 Feet. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and Spreaker, and also your favorite podcast network. Also, follow us on social media at 94 Feet Podcast. Also on IG, Twitter, and Facebook.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace.